Example number 3. This example is already in factored form, which is nice. So what we need to do is find those zeros, those roots first. So what you want to do is take each factor, set it equal to 0, and solve for x. You want to plot those on your number line. So you look at that inequality symbol to tell you if you should do a closed or an open circle. So let's get those solutions first. I have solutions at -2, +1, and +3. And when you relate it to the graph, you can see that's where this graph crosses the x-axis. So those are our x-intercepts. I'm going to use open circles when I plot them on my number line because of that inequality symbol. If it's less than or greater than, it's an open circle. Then we're going to test points that fall in each region. So I'm going to pick a number that is to the left of -2. And so you're just dividing up your number line here. When you plug in, I picked -3. When I plug this in, I'm plugging it into this factored form of the equation. So be mindful, there's a negative number in front. So my first sign is going to be negative. So I have that negative number that's in front. Then if I plug in -3, when I look at this exponent, it's squared. It doesn't matter what I plug in. When I square something, I'm always going to get a negative result. So I'm going to have a positive number here. -3 minus 1 would give me a negative number. And -3 minus 3 would give me another negative number. If I'm multiplying these 4 numbers together, and you have an odd number of negative numbers, your end result is going to be a negative number. Next, I'll plug in a number that falls in the next region. So I'm going to go for 0. It's always a nice number to go for to plug in. So don't forget, you have that negative number in front. So I'll start with the negative. Then I'm plugging 0 here. So 0 plus 2, squaring that gives me a positive number. 0 minus 1 is negative. And 0 minus 3 is also negative. An odd number of negative numbers, when you multiply these together, you'll also get a negative end result. The next number I'm going to plug in is, I'm going to plug in 2. So again, it starts off with that negative number in front. Then if I plug 2 in, I'll get a positive number because 2 plus 2 squared. 2 minus 1 gives me a positive number. And 2 minus 3 would give me a negative number. When I multiply these signs together, I would end up with a positive end result. My last region that I have to test is the region that falls to the right of 3. I'm going to plug in 4. So I start off with that negative number in front. 4 plus 2, that quantity squared would give me a positive result. 4 minus 1 is positive. 4 minus 3 is also positive. When I multiply these 4 numbers together, I would end up with a negative number. Now, a common error students might make, and it happened in the last 2 examples, is it alternated, minus, plus, minus, plus. That's not always going to be true, so you can't bank on that. And the reasoning why is when you look at that double root right here, think about that multiplicity. It bounced off at -2. So when you have that multiplicity of 2, you're not going to cross over to the other side of that x-axis. The graph will stay on that same side. This question is asking me, where is it less than 0? If something's asking you, where is it less than 0, it wants to know, where is it negative? So where on the number line did you have negative values? Where on the graph was your graph below the x-axis? And that's how you're going to find your solution. Now, because these open circles, I have to be really careful. The open circle means that the x-intercept is not included. So I like to read my number line. You read it left to right. So we're going to go from -infinity to -2, from -2 to 1, and from 3 to infinity. So when you piece it all together, wait for it. You'll start out with negative infinity, comma, -2. And then you'll start up again, -2 to 1, and they'll both have parentheses. And then that third and final piece is from 3 to infinity. So take note of all of those parentheses. The reason why links back to the inequality symbol stated in the question.